Coming to you from Castle Rock, Colorado at 6,224 feet, this is Inside Castle Rock. Hi, and welcome to the first episode of Inside Castle Rock. My name is Chris DiGillo, and I'm joined by my really good friend, Brian.
Hey, I'm Brian. So we are so excited. This is our first time doing this episode. We had this crazy idea to do a podcast that was all about Castle Rock. Everything from community, business owners, organizations, places you'd recognize all around Castle Rock as well. So we're just super excited to get started and do this very first one.
We just want to highlight for you
That's right.
Our coffee.
Every episode, we're going to have some random drink from somewhere.
Some random beverage.
Yes.
This one happens to be Dream Donkey, which is the name of the roast, and it's from right across the street from where we're filming. We're in the craft co-working space, and it's right across the street at Cough 33. So if you haven't been there, check it out. Great coffee shop in our local community. Great place to get work done and meet friends.
That's right. So we're super excited to introduce our first guest, Tim and Katy Haverstick. They are local owners of a painting, but you don't do just painting. You do all kinds of things in the house, fix-ups and stuff like that as well. But they have a great painting company here, local family. You guys have lived here for about 3 years as well. Yeah. We also go to the same church, which is, pretty cool. So we know each other from that too. Yep. But we're just super excited to have you guys on our very first episode, the #1 podcast in Castle Rock.
So far.
Because we're the only one.
Looking for competition.
That's right. No, we're not. We don't start another one. We want to be the only one.
That's right.
Right?
So we wanted to get an idea from both of you. First of all, welcome and thanks for being our guests on the podcast.
Yeah, we're so excited to be here.
How did you get the idea to start a painting company? H3 Painting is the name, but I know that the idea wasn't the traditional start to most businesses. Tell us a little bit of that story.
I was an interior designer. I would help people with pick colors. And I was with a client one day and she said, "Do you have a painter?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And so then it just started right there.
You just made one up.
I just made one up. So I called my brother on my drive home and I said, "Hey, you're a painter now." He had lots of construction experience and painted lots of houses. My stepdad was an architect and my mom was constantly building and flipping houses. So we had been raised sort of in the industry. And so he's like, "Okay." So we just started, just the two of us. Tim would help on his days off and on nights and weekends, things like that.
Yeah.
And we did very small, one house at a time, higher end projects, but just really slow and steady. And then in about 2015, Tim had been working for other people doing other operations.
Yep.
And then decided, hey, let's just pour it all into H3. And so he came home from work and we went out and bought a truck that night and we were like, okay, Here we go. Yeah.
Yeah, I literally was working operations for a couple of other companies and just, it was done. I was done doing what I needed to do. I built up their operations and logistics department, and it was like a great time.
So just like a great time to transition. It was
it's beautiful. And he's
That's
like,
awesome.
"Thanks so much. Here's a severance package. I appreciate what you did." And then I said, "Dude, yeah, let's go."
So you asked Katy, "Will you employ me?" And
Will you employ me? Yeah.
I'm out of a job now.
Every week? I don't have a job. Yep.
Second hardest question he asked. First one was like, "Will you marry me?" And she's like, "Let me think about that."
Yeah.
Second one was, "Will you
Will
employ
you employ
me?"
me? She's like, "No."
At both times she said, "Let me think about that."
And I remember when I first, because I got to meet Tim before I got to meet you, Katy, and I was asking him a bit of the story of it, which I think is so unique. And I loved, and I've told you this before, that I love that Tim was very clear. And he's like, I am not the primary owner. He's like, my wife is the owner and founder of H3 Painting. I love that honoring part of the relationship. As I've gotten to know you both, there's such a fun banter between you two. But I just think it speaks a lot to the relationship that Tim's like, no, this is where it started. And I got to be brought into the fold because she trusted me a little bit to be a part of her business.
Tiny bit.
Just
Microcosm.
Micro, yeah. Well, she, it is interesting because it wasn't my idea. It wasn't my thing. I didn't start it. And so often it's like, I think, people get overshadowed by other people sometimes. And it's like, dude, you started this. This was your idea.
Yeah.
You did it. And I just came along to help facilitate some operations. And we've grown quite a bit since then. So
Love that.
we started off in northern Colorado, basically working about a 30-mile bubble around Boulder. So it was like, Longmont, Loveland, Boulder, Superior, kind of to the tip of Denver. And that was it. That was where we stayed. Just did boutique stuff.
Yeah.
And then in 2015, we decided, you know what, let's grow this thing. So now we have an office up north. We have our office here in Castle Rock, which is our primary corporate office. We have an office in Colorado Springs, and we just opened up in Arizona.
That's amazing.
So
I love it.
What awesome growth.
We're really happy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
A lot of fun.
We want to dig deeper, get to know you a little bit more about, we would get to your personal family life as well eventually.
Okay.
But before we do that, as you've started a business, what have been some failures that you've experienced along the way? Maybe something that somebody could learn from if they're trying to start their own business, or any kind of experience or wisdom you have around that too.
I don't know if I'd call it a failure because we are still married, but I think the idea that we bring work home too much and we are constantly talking about it, constantly have it on our mind.
Sure.
And learning really how to shelf it, leave it at the office. And then when we're home, when we're with our kids, we're focusing on that part of our lives. So I would say that is an area that has taken us many, many years to figure out how. Also knowing that some days I just don't go to the office because it's just better to have that separation.
Yeah.
And that we both know that we want to, maintain our relationship, but also just keep the business moving forward in a positive way.
Yeah. I would say compartmentalization in that regard. Like, we come home, we start talking about stuff, then we have our family life, and then it's like off to bed. And sometimes it's like, it's still in our mind because we love this business. Because we love what we do. We love the community we serve.
Right.
We love the people who work for us, and that's so important. I mean, we're a tight team, and I often say in our tight team, it's like SEAL Team 6, right? We're all rowing in the same direction, and if somebody stops rowing, we feel it. So we bring all that home because we're constantly thinking about this labor of love that we have. And I don't think running a small business is for everyone. It takes a lot of moxie and like risk and things that it's like, yes, I love this and I'm okay with that and I'm going to do it. And having a partner who I get to go home with every day, most days, and who's like we can do this, but it's key to be able to compartmentalize.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's so interesting because I think there's so many people, like books and videos and experts and gurus say, well, you have to do this or this or this or that. You just got to do what works for you, right? And it's okay to talk about work a little bit, right? But you got to set the boundaries that work for you and your wife and your family and what makes sense there, because not everybody's the same, right? And I think that's one thing that I've learned, with the business that I have, and my wife's actually going to start joining me and helping me out a little bit more in the real estate stuff. But there's certain things that will work for you that won't work for us, right? And vice versa.
Right.
And so tell me a little bit more about how did you guys kind of navigate that and kind of set either the boundaries or have those, I guess, difficult conversations or, kind of help to say, hey, here's what I think we need to do.
I mean, I would say number one, 10:30 at night, I don't want to hear about it. Like, I don't want to talk about it.
She doesn't want to have an operations meeting at 10:30 at night. I don't know why. I'm like, let's do it.
It's like, sure, it's on the calendar. I put it on here.
This system I want to talk about. And I'm like, no.
Gotcha.
I think also just remaining having fun with it as well. Remembering that we're painters. We're not saving lives over here. We love what we do.
We're saving homes, not
we're
lives.
saving homes. Yeah. But we
or
don't
helping
take
to sell them.
ourselves.
Yes, which is always a good thing.
It is. But we don't want to take ourselves too seriously either and take the business too seriously. And just stay focused on good. We will figure it out. We have figured out far more serious things.
Sure.
We will work through it. So
another part of that too is like we often say, and it got coined somewhere along the way, but we often say that we're like the Chick-fil-A painters. Because
I've heard a few people say that. Yeah, mostly you.
Right. And when I don't,
but it's true though.
It is true.
Yeah.
It really speaks to, it's a chicken sandwich. It's not brain surgery. It's a chicken sandwich. You pulled up in the drive-thru, you ordered your order, and we're here to make sure that your order is as correct as
it's about the experience around it.
Is,
not just the painting.
Right. And we're not perfect, and so nothing is. And so if something doesn't come out right, we do everything in our power, even taking a loss, to make sure that you're happy at the end of the day. And we used to say a trail of happy customers, and that's true. We want to have that trail of happy customers that felt like I showed up and you delivered everything you said you were going to do, and you fixed everything that was not perfect. So that's what we have. What we call our blue tape challenge.
So I told you, Brian, right at one point in the last couple of weeks, I actually had H3 do some trim repair work on my house, and it was fantastic. Everybody that I got to interact with, right? It wasn't Tim doing the walkthrough, doing the work, etc. He was the initial point person, but then I was handed over to a project manager, which is unique to their business. And I just felt kind of like taken care of along the way, even through the invoice, walking me through the charges at the end, because it varied a little from the proposal, as it will. I just felt cared for along the way. There's not a lot of companies that feel that way when you do business with them. I eat at Chick-fil-A. I eat at Popeyes. They're both really good sandwiches. I hate going to Popeyes.
Sure.
Because the service experience is 9 times out of 10, it's in the crapper.
Yeah.
At Chick-fil-A,
Right.
even if I'm having a bad day, I leave there feeling better because of the
Right.
interactions
Yep.
that I have.
Right.
So I think
That's a
that
good point.
speaks to, understanding what your customers are looking for. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
they want the service and product you offer,
Right.
but how do you help and take care of them along the way speaks volumes, I think,
Yeah.
about the business.
Well, you don't want to eat any place that makes you feel like you're in a crapper, because those
Nope.
two things just don't go together.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah, if the bathroom's not clean,
Or it's
you
gonna
don't
send
want to
you
see
there.
the kitchen.
Yes.
Right.
That's just
Exactly.
a fact
Yeah.
of life.
That is true.
Well, people just want to know you care, right? And that they
Yes.
don't like I don't think anybody expects everybody to be perfect all the
No.
time.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Sometimes maybe, but but they just want to know, hey, do you care about this as much as I do? And I
Right.
find that a lot of times with my clients too,
Oh,
Right.
indeed.
of just they just want to know that this is important to you.
Yeah.
And when second you feel like a business doesn't care, like
Mhm.
you care, that's when you lose that trust, I think.
When we know our reputation's on the line, we know we live
Totally.
here, our kids go to
Right.
school
You're
here.
gonna see these people in
and
the
we're going
store.
to see them at church and at the store and
Yeah.
all the places. And we
Right.
need to make sure that we are offering up our best quality.
Yeah,
And
I love
and
that.
Chris, to your point, it's not me coming out every time. It's not Katie coming out every time, because
Sure.
that's not sustainable. Right?
No.
Especially since we're in 2 states. So instead, what we have is a way of training our people to be like, I want you to act like me and walk like me and talk like me and behave like me, because I know what I'm going to deliver and I know what you can deliver if you do these things.
Yeah.
That's why everybody at Chick-fil-A says my pleasure. It's the same principle. It's the same principle because they've been taught how to behave, not just how to perform a function.
Sure.
Like fill this cup and hand it to the customer.
Yeah.
They've been taught how to behave.
Yeah.
That supersedes everything. That allows a company
That's a
person
good point.
to
Yeah.
be off to the side, not being overshadowed or micromanaged by somebody, to be able to behave like we do. That's the difference.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's
So I
awesome.
interact a lot in the luxury hospitality space with clients in my background. And I don't have any disrespect for Ritz-Carlton. They're an amazing brand. But I use the example of Ritz-Carlton says my pleasure.
Mhm.
Chick-fil-A says my pleasure.
Mhm.
When I hear it at the Ritz, it feels a bit formulaic. It feels like I was told
Oh.
to do it, like I was told to smile
Mm.
at school
Yeah.
for
It's
pictures.
stiff kind of.
At Chick-fil-A, they've hired really happy people. I'm gonna get
Yes.
like so much negative feedback from my hospitality friends. They're like, you don't like Ritz-Carlton. Ritz-Carlton's amazing. You
Yeah,
know
it's
that I
amazing.
think that. But Chick-fil-A, it just feels like the kids that they're hiring
Like they want
just
to
want to
be
make
there.
people happy.
Yeah.
Right.
And so like they're just good kids, mostly good Christian kids, not all of them, but good Christian kids, and they just want to make you happy. And so
Yeah.
saying my pleasure feels like naturally
More
something they
genuine.
would say.
Yes,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
natural.
And I think in a good business, you give them 80% of the plan of kind of what the operation is, the sequencing of service.
Mhm.
The other 20%, you have to be like, hey, I hope you'll trust and you'll do it the way that
Yes,
you think we would want you to, but ultimately it's your choice.
exactly.
That's what makes a successful
Mhm.
business, because you
Uh-huh.
can't be there every time. Could you
No.
imagine that?
No.
You'd literally be talking about operations at 10:30 at night
Yes.
while you're like in your boxers
Uh-huh.
doing like your nighttime routine, and
Yeah.
Katie's
Right.
like, please turn this meeting off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you'd have to if you were involved in
I
everything.
don't wear boxers.
Yeah.
That gets to the next question that we have.
Let's move on.
Talking about Castle Rock specifically, what's another business in Castle Rock that you each have like high level of respect for? We'll go ladies first.
I love Udalali Coffee Shop. I just think they have great service, great
Mm.
coffee, great products. And they're adorable.
They're
Yes.
fun.
They're fun.
It's
Yeah.
unique. It's
yeah.
not like any other coffee
It's
shop that's
unique.
out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
What about you,
Yeah.
Tim?
We're right next to the Great Divide, and I love them because, I know one of the head chefs. It's an easy experience. It's been good 99% of the time because nothing is perfect, right? But they always make stuff right. And I remember I got a burger twice in a row that just was bad, and my next meal was totally free with family.
Mm.
So
Wow.
they just, they're
That's awesome.
They're good. I like those guys. Good
I love that you got a burger because you can't eat chicken and rice every day.
Right.
can't. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know what I mean?
How you doing?
Yeah. Yep.
I'm going to ask this question, Brian. I know
Yes.
because kind of next was you, but Tim, you and I have talked a lot about the fact that the interview process that you use for bringing people on, even though the questions you ask,
Yeah.
is very different. You shared it with me. I thought it was incredibly unique.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
For sure. We're, like I said, we're a small team, so we need to have everybody rowing in the same direction, and I need to know that person who's going to be with me 40 hours a week is really going to be rowing correctly, right? So when I ask them these questions, and I've got negative feedback from these questions, I've gotten all over the board, but I ask weird, odd things. I interrupt people. I get up in the middle of an interview and I leave, and I come back and I shake them up, and what I'm watching for is I'm timing them. How do they react? You're interrupted all day long. And if you can come back from that in 3 seconds and know exactly where you were, great, good. That's a check mark, right?
Yeah.
I ask them odd questions that come from Harvard. One of them is, why is a manhole cover round? And I stump every single person. Not one person has ever answered it correctly. And they have even called me back later on. They're like, dude, what was that about? I can't figure this out.
They're like trying to search it on Google and
Yeah,
like
it did messes with people. And part of the reason is that it's a safety thing. So every other shape will fall
Now
into
you can't
the hole.
ask this again because
It's okay.
now
Yeah.
everybody's
Well,
gonna
hopefully,
know.
yeah, we won't.
They can look it up. Yeah.
After
So
20,000 people watch this episode, she's
That's
right.
right.
We're gonna have to
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
So when we get
We
there, we'll let
all
you
have
know.
higher
Yes.
questions.
goals.
But I ask
Can't
other
work with.
things like what's your favorite color, and I'll interrupt them. So I'll ask them a question that's serious, and they're giving me feedback, and I'm like, wait, stop. What's your favorite color? And they're like, blue. And I'm like, okay, hang on. And I'm pretending like it's such a big deal that
Right.
it's blue versus red, and it's not. I'm like, what kind of car do you drive? And they're like, and it just throws them off. And so the part of the reason is because they came in a honeymoon canned way to be like, I've been prepped to do an interview.
Yep.
I know what I'm going to say. I pretty much know what you're going to ask me. So when I throw them,
I
these
know my
curveballs-
strengths. I know my
Yes.
weaknesses.
Yeah,
I know my
yeah, when I ask the question about, tell me what the most recent thing you did wrong was and how you changed, they like know how to answer that.
Right.
But when I ask that and I screw with them,
Think on your feet.
Yep. Then they
Yeah.
go, wait, and then they get real
Uh-huh.
because the facade was broken through. So that's really important to me to do. And a guy that taught me about business taught me to do that. So I appreciate it.
I love that. Well, I think it feels like it just, like you said, gets to the real person at
Yes.
that point, right?
Mhm.
So you get rid of all that other fluff and, surface level type of questions, and then you get right down there. You can really see who they're going to be.
Yeah.
It's so much harder to hire someone than fire them, right?
Oh, man.
Than to
Right.
figure it out at
Right.
the beginning.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're going to spend 40, 50 hours a week with this person. They're going to become an integral part of your life.
You're
And
going
it's like,
to make sure you're clicking.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wanna know
And we
who
want
this
them to
person
know
is.
who we are.
Yeah.
Right.
Our values as people, as
Yes.
a company, that there is a lot of chaos sometimes. And
Sure.
that's, and how
Yeah.
they can
Yeah.
kind of manage through that. And
That's awesome.
Yep.
just also know so they can learn about us as well.
Sure.
Which is just as important
Yeah.
because we don't want them coming in and 2 weeks later being like, I don't like them.
Right.
Well, and that's where I'm like
So
with
that-
Tony. When I
Yeah.
hired Tony, I said, there's going to be Tuesdays where your title is going to change to chaos coordinator. And you got to be okay with that. And if you're not and you don't, he's like, totally fine. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I
love
felt
that.
it. I felt it. He was
Nice.
like, I got you. I got
Yeah.
that.
But that question gets a real response because
Mhm.
that's not a normal question people
It's
would ask you or a statement.
Okay, so you have 3 girls,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Yep, three girls. You live here in Castle Rock, so we always like to know, like, what are your favorite things about Castle Rock? What do you like to do here with the family?
Cool.
I think my favorite thing about Castle Rock is the people. I just
Yeah.
think for the most part, everybody is pretty down to earth and just good people.
Totally.
We've lived in other areas, and I just think all in all, it's the most solid group
Yeah,
of people here
It is.
that
Good
we've met.
community.
Plus
Yeah,
Plus
really
we've
good
yeah.
community.
Our church in the community,
yeah,
Front Range Christian Church has been like a great staple for us. We've,
Mhm.
come to know that a lot of friends go there, and it's a great,
Yeah.
it's a great home for us.
Totally.
totally.
Yeah, so that's one for me is Front Range. I also really like the Starlighting event.
Yes.
Which is tomorrow.
It is.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
Tomorrow. I'm so
Yep.
excited.
You're
We're
gonna
gonna
be there. We're all gonna
Oh,
be,
we're
all
gonna
gonna
be
be
there.
there.
Okay.
We're gonna be
Yeah.
there.
You
We've
heard it on
actually-
video. We're all going to be there.
Yeah.
That's right.
Come find us.
We have planned a whole trip to go for Thanksgiving to go see our daughter in California. She's
Uh-huh.
in flight school near Coronado, which is a heavy feeling. If you've not let a kid go from your nest,
I can't
it's-
imagine. We have
it's,
2 that are
It's
going to
the worst.
happen
Don't
here
do
in
it.
about a year.
I
Just
stress
break
when
their
Emma goes to
spirit.
Keep 'em
friend's
close.
house.
Keep it close. Yeah.
You know,
She's across the street, but I feel like she's left.
I have some dad friends who are like, "What's the big deal?" And I have other dad friends who are like, "I see you."
Yeah.
And that's like, to me, I'm like, wow, that's a big deal. Anyway, we've planned our whole trip to go see her around the Starlighting.
Yeah.
So we're not going to leave until
Totally.
after church and
Yeah.
after the day of the Starlighting. So
Yeah.
it's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
We may be at
Starlighting's
the airport at the
so-
same time because we're flying out at like 5 p.m.
Oh, wow. We're
Yeah,
driving.
we're driving.
We will not see you at the airport.
Yes.
If I
You
see
can
you
wave
there,
at
I
each
will
other.
tell you, you need to turn and go the other direction.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
please do.
Keep you honest.
Yeah, but the Starlighting's so cool because it's so historical too, which I think
Yeah.
is really cool.
Oh my gosh.
And the things they do every year,
Yeah.
like it's just nostalgic.
Yeah,
they
it is.
bring Santa. There's the giant switch.
Yeah.
There's the someone from 9 News, right? That guy
incredible.
Gary Shapiro. Oh, I think he retired though. Anyway, I think
Oh,
he's
maybe
gone.
someone
We'll see
new.
who comes this
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is. It's really cool. They pray, they sing,
Yeah.
sing the songs, the Christmas carols, all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Like, I remember the first time we went there, and I was like, "Whoa, this is like legit
Uh-huh.
small town
Yeah.
feel."
Yeah.
And then you're seeing everybody that and
Yeah.
it's super fun.
cool.
We
Yeah.
didn't go the first year we moved here because we had just moved into the house.
Oh.
Kind of use that as an
Yeah.
excuse because we also thought it was going to be cheesy.
Uh-huh.
And then we went last year. We were absolutely blown away. And so now, leading up to it, as we drive by, my daughter's like, "Hey, Daddy, the star's not lit yet, but it's soon, right?" Like, she's still wrapping her head around time as a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
So
So
she's
am I,
looking
but-
forward. Exactly. She's looking forward to that experience this Saturday because she knows it's coming.
Totally.
And so it's something that I think we're really looking forward to making a regular tradition of our family.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit. I like secrets.
Oh.
I like secrets. A little bit,
Okay.
skeletons in the closet.
Deep,
So
dark,
keep it,
dark
Tim,
secrets.
Let's keep it PG.
13.
What is a
Stands
secret
for
about each of you that most people don't know? And Tim, will go with you first.
Okay.
Secret about each of you that most
So
people
I got to
don't
tell
know.
a secret about Katie.
Nope. A
Mm-mm.
secret about you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Nice try to pivot that.
Yeah.
We're airing our own dirty
Okay.
laundry, not
All right.
yeah.
So something that probably nobody would guess about me is I was a florist for a long time. It was my
Award-winning florist.
Thank you, man.
Award
Yeah.
winning.
Yeah.
We need to get some pictures of that so I can pop it up while you're talking.
It's really cool. So in California, when I grew up in California, moved here about 24 years ago, and so I'm a native now, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
24 years.
It's called semi-native, but so am I.
Semi-native. Yeah. Okay. So anyway,
We'll
I
allow
grew up
it.
in California. I was a teenager. I needed a
As an
job.
actual native, well,
Me
right.
too. Are you're native?
yeah.
Sorry,
Boulder.
Tim, we
She's a
gotta
real
talk
native.
here for a
Yeah,
minute.
she's a real
Yeah.
native.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where were you born?
Boulder.
Boulder. I was
Yeah.
born in Colorado Springs.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
And now they're meeting in the middle.
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Castle Rock.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you're almost native. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
All right.
So
Let's talk about your flowers.
Anyway, yeah, no, thank you. So yeah, I grew up. There was flower shops and
Nice.
grow places, for flowers, not anything else. And so
That's why you
it
moved
was-
to Colorado, so you can include
Right.
some of those other things.
I knew how to grow. So I got a job at a florist, and it turns
Nice.
out that I was just in the back room stocking things, doing guy stuff, right? It's not floral stuff.
And delivery and stuff.
And
yeah.
delivery.
Oh, like
yep.
the manual labor.
Yeah, the manual. Like, Tim, we need that stack of
Sure.
900 vases brought
Yeah.
up. Okay, cool.
Right.
So and then I saw the design side of things, and I really liked it. It spoke to me, and I was like, this is really cool. So I did that as a job, and then I moved here from California, and I got a job at a florist, the Perfect Petal in Denver.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then I just was one of the designers and molded my way into being in that space. And I actually helped work on the Channel 9 News weddings, which we won
Very
some
cool.
pretty big awards for.
That's
so
awesome.
and
I feel like you should
I
have
loved it.
those like around the office.
I mean, there's flowers at home. I try every week.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's so cool.
It's important to me because it's fresh. It's
And
just,
the holidays, he does big.
Oh, I
amazing.
bet.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And then people think it's me, and I'm like,
Like when I bring home a dozen roses for my
Actually.
wife, I'm like, look what I did.
Right.
And she's like, I'm like, no, somebody wrapped those up for me. Like all I did was swipe a card.
Yeah.
That was my
Right.
extent.
yeah.
right.
And then putting them in a vase.
No, I let Jen do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't let her do it. I do it. I
Oh,
love-
yeah. I would assume that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
She can't do it right.
And then
Yeah,
Christmas trees.
surely.
I decorate Christmas trees just like a floral arrangement. So
Yeah.
that's been a thing too.
Yeah.
So
That's very cool.
that's been really fun.
Katie, what
Yeah.
about you?
Well, okay. In high school, I was driving down the road and I heard an ad on the radio for extras for a movie. I lived in California at the time.
Oh,
San
no way.
Diego. So I called my friend and we went down and we got picked to be extras in the movie Almost Famous.
So she was almost famous.
I was almost
In Almost
In
Famous.
almost
Uh-huh.
famous.
Yeah.
Almost.
So the
famous.
part where she says, "Don't take drugs," the mom says it, and
You're there?
people turn around and you can see me. I'm like right there. Yeah,
we're gonna
my
have to-
friend got cut out, but I'm right
Did you
there.
speak?
Yes, I said,
Yeah,
"Don't take
she's
drugs."
like,
Oh,
"Don't
you
take
bad.
said
drugs.
that.
Don't take
Well, the
drugs."
mom says it, and then we all the crowd parrots it back to her.
Can I
Yeah.
take that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's
You'll
awesome.
have to
So it's pretty cool.
pause and wait
Wow.
for me.
Okay, I'm
So
gonna have to
that's
go.
my
I haven't
claim
seen
to
that
fame.
movie.
I've
so
never
I'm
seen
gonna
it.
go watch
It's actually a pretty cool
It's
movie.
such a good movie.
I'm gonna go watch
I see it
Yeah.
pop up though.
Yeah.
So the
Can
the-
kids watch it?
So the scene looks
No.
like this.
Okay.
They pull up in a station
I mean,
wagon. The mom is
no,
dropping
probably
the kid
not.
off
No,
for a concert. Correct me if I'm wrong on this.
Yeah.
Pulling up to a concert to let the kid out. Like everybody's
Yeah.
walking in, and then the kid gets out, and the mom yells out the window, "Don't take drugs!"
Yeah.
And everybody turns around to make fun of that kid. And
Yeah.
Katie was one of those kids. She was a
Yeah.
bully.
Oh,
She was
She's a
Yeah.
bully.
She
Oh,
was a bully.
nice.
Yeah. it was-
Yeah.
that's kind of
I
like
got
when your
paid
parent drops you off
$62.
and they say they're like, make good choices.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right,
Same.
right.
And someone's like, not likely. It's one of
Yeah.
those moments.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
I tell my kids, don't do anything I would.
That's awesome. Okay, we're gonna do some speed round questions.
Okay.
Short
Okay.
answer.
All right.
Yep. Quick
Double
fire.
for you.
That's right. I will
Not
kick
double
you
questions, double
Why are
short.
they looking
Double
at me?
short.
because we know what you do.
When we watch the final version, you'll know why we're looking.
That's right. All right. If you were to choose for a couple's weekend or a family vacation, what would you choose?
Couples weekend.
Couples
Family
weekend.
vacation because they're still little.
And where?
Oh, for couples vacation?
Yeah.
I don't know, wherever Sandals is.
There you go.
Somewhere in the
Beach.
ocean.
And it says Sandals somewhere. I don't care.
Yeah.
What about family? Where would you
I
go?
love national parks.
Amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Love that.
National parks are
Regular
good.
coffee or fancy?
Black, but nice, good quality.
Okay.
Like flavorful, rich.
Yes.
Like it.
Don't
Which
you
is
make up
black.
an answer for the camera.
Well, I like both. In the morning, I like it black, and then in the afternoon, I like it a little fancy.
Can you tell us a little bit about that coffee order I heard on the phone one day?
Yeah.
Why? Why are you gonna do this?
Because this is a podcast and we're
Okay,
real and we're
fine.
not
Okay,
fake.
fine.
That's right.
So I like what I like. So
It's 3 shots of espresso
four,
over
four,
ice.
4 shots of espresso.
4 shots of espresso over ice with coconut milk and 2 pumps of toffee nut.
It
syrup.
sounds slightly
medium
better
cup.
because your wife
Did you
just
put
said
some
it.
whipped
That's
cream on top,
amazing.
too?
That's why I don't, because I can't
No.
have dairy.
Oh.
That's why the
Yeah.
coconut milk.
Yeah.
I see.
But when I order, I'm like, I'll take a venti americano,
Yeah, which is my drink.
black, and then I'm like, and my wife wants.
So there's no judgment
Okay.
because of the window.
Right.
No, she looks at me and she goes, "I got you." Yeah, little do you know,
That's awesome. All right. Okay. Beer, wine, or a cocktail?
cocktail,
Mocktail.
And what kind?
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
bourbon all day.
Bourbon?
Well, not all day.
Straight bourbon?
Yep.
What brand?
My favorite is Angel's Envy.
Ah,
That's
okay.
good
I don't think
stuff.
I've
Yeah.
had that.
Costco has it.
Does it?
Yeah, really
Yeah,
nice.
Oh,
that's
Really
my
good
favorite.
Okay.
It's really smooth and
Delish.
buttery.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
What kind of mocktail do you like? Is there a go-to?
Recently, what did I have?
Mojito.
A mojito.
Mojito.
Yeah. it was
Oh,
good.
I
It was really
love
good.
mojito.
Light,
I know.
fresh,
Yes. What's the place over here? They had like a blueberry.
provision.
Yes.
Oh.
It was delicious.
That's close to
Look at
Chris's
him.
heart.
He's
Yeah.
I
palpitating.
just, we're going to invite them to be guests on the
Did you just
podcast.
swoon?
Oh.
I did swoon a little bit. I'm going to invite them to be on the
Well, I'll just
podcast.
sit
Get
in
a
the
hold of the
background.
table.
and
Yeah, I know,
talk to
right?
us.
He was
Yeah.
passed out.
So excited to be here.
Guess what I made
Yeah.
last night? Sorry, this is.
No, please.
I made a fresh margarita with lime, agave syrup, and tequila.
So no like fake tequila mix.
no
Yes.
fake sweet and
Yeah.
sour or
Yeah.
margarita
That's
mix.
how you
Every
make
one
it.
I've ever tried is no good.
Yeah.
I've never
Yeah.
done that before,
Check
and
my
that
phone.
was
I didn't get that text.
the
didn't I?
best.
And I didn't.
The
wait, I didn't
margaritas.
either.
Strange.
I
Yeah,
didn't either.
yeah.
Yeah, I worked in Mexico for like a year and a half, not constantly there, but just doing a project back and forth. And that's where you find the best drinks that don't have any crap. They're
Yeah.
just like
oh my
a
gosh,
squeeze of this and a squeeze of that.
It
and then
was-
a dollop of
I
Yeah.
felt like I was at a restaurant. I was like, I actually made a restaurant
Really
quality
fantastic.
drink. It was
That's good.
It's
awesome.
amazing
Yeah.
what fresh ingredients do. Even
Yes.
just fresh
Yeah.
lime is fantastic.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, so good.
Speaking
Movie-
of fresh, you're getting pretty fresh.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Is it like sassy?
Yeah,
I like
I love it.
Yeah.
Movie at home
Uh-huh.
or going out to the movie theater?
In theory, I'd like to go to the theater, but I think home is probably.
It's a lot of work,
usually-
isn't
it's
it?
a lot of
It's a lot of
work.
work.
And then it's
Yeah.
cold
And muddy and
afterwards.
it's-
and-
yeah.
And it's cold
Yeah.
afterwards.
Right.
And you're like, I just ate this popcorn, which is like a vegetable, and you covered it in butter.
Yeah.
But somehow it was like a salad.
Right.
Right.
Because it's corn is
It's
a
a
light,
butter.
healthy snack.
That is
Butter salad.
a good perspective.
Yeah.
All right. So one thing we were going to try to squeeze in if we have time, we're going to make it work. You can ask us not together. Together, you can ask us each a question. We don't care who asks us one.
Yeah.
And we're not prepped for this at all.
Oh, a question.
We're not
Yeah,
either.
we're
Yeah,
impromptu.
we're not either.
We're going
I texted
improv
you.
style.
I didn't get this part, but that's okay.
You wrote back and said, "I'll ask Katie."
Oh, my bad.
Anyway, random question you want to know about us.
Okay, I guess who's like your dream podcast?
Good question.
I've been doing this long enough to have dreams.
Oh,
Dream podcast.
well, you're about to have one.
I would love to have, because he's local business owner. I'd
Uh-huh.
love to have our mayor, Jason Gray, on the
Oh my
podcast.
gosh.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So he's on a long-term target for next year.
Yeah, I was gonna say the exact same thing.
Dang it, I love you so much.
Perfect.
Can we
Oh,
have
it'd
the
be
same
great.
answer?
I think so.
That's
On
okay.
that
He
same
also
vein,
goes to
Mayor
our.
Jason Gray, we're coming for you.
That's right. We'd
Somebody
love to
send this to
interview
him that
you.
knows him because I don't know him.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
that same vein, who's your favorite podcast person?
Oh.
Who like produces your favorite podcast?
Oh man.
I'll go quick because I don't listen
Yeah,
to that many
please do.
podcasts, which is weird because we're recording one. The Trader Joe's. It's called Inside Trader Joe's, which may be where we got the idea for this name. Inside Trader Joe's podcast.
We
It's
didn't
fun,
totally rip it
it's
off.
light, and it makes me
cool.
love not only their brand but the products and why they choose the products they
Uh-huh.
do because you get to understand that more. I think it's a really smart, fun podcast.
That
So-
sounds so boring. I'm
It's-
sorry.
But you know something you
but
told
it's
me.
probably I could see maybe we're.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
as
I'll
a
have to
food
give
person,
it a
like
try.
they talk about how they pick all their stuff,
okay.
the travel that goes into it.
That's
Their
cool.
tastings are in like secret
See,
rooms.
this just makes me hungry.
It's
I know.
incredible. Yes.
I'm hungry. Yeah.
That is
Okay.
interesting.
So you told me about there was a podcast you told me about, and it was a book about the daily
Stoic.
Stoic.
Daily
There's a
Stoic.
podcast about that.
I read
And,
it every day.
yeah,
So I'm
so-
on year 3.
I was going to pick that up. So thanks for
Yeah.
that tip. That
You're
was
very
great.
welcome.
That's a good one. Okay, I have two because there's like I love to learn all the time. So there's a podcast that Ryan Serhant is a big like real estate agent in New York. So I
Mhm.
like him because he's pretty real and like just kind of normal, like genuine, even though he's got like a huge business, tons of money, all this kind of stuff. And then for fun, when I just want to like chill, it's not super appropriate ever at all, but it's called Bad Friends. You guys ever heard of it?
No.
Mm-mm.
Is that a show too? A TV show?
No, I don't
No.
think
Okay,
so.
all right, that makes
It's
sense.
two comics,
Okay.
two comedians.
Ah.
I should know their
Sounds
names.
amazing.
but they're like best friends, but they call themselves bad friends. They make fun of each other. They have guests, but they're super real and just like,
I like that.
It's just funny. It's just so funny. So yeah, I like them.
You can't be goody two
It's
shoes
like
all the time.
I know.
A little indulgence.
It's like yeah. I probably shouldn't like it, but I do.
Tell people, I've said this to you before. I love Jesus, and I say the F word a lot, which I did not say on the podcast.
No,
but I do. I
we
say
didn't
that.
do any cussing.
It was really
That's
clean.
awesome. Yeah, good
nobody-
job, team.
Nobody's going
Way
to
to
jail,
go.
so I think that's a really good end of the podcast. As we wrap things up, we just want to say thank you to all either 4,000 or 4,000 people that are watching this. We really enjoyed filming our first one. We don't have our next guest picked out yet, but we're going to come up with a list of folks. Hopefully we'll be able to give you a little bit of a teaser as to who's going to be on the show, but do look for episode number 2. As always, I'm Chris DiCillo.
And I'm Brian, and if you like this, please make sure you subscribe to it. And
Like it.
Comment below if there's anybody or anywhere you think we should go next in Castle Rock too. We'd love to hear from you as well. And Tim and Katie, thank you so much for being part of our podcast.
This was fun.
Thanks for doing the show.
See you next time.
Take care. Bye-bye.